Hey guys, with all of the recovery interviews that I've done so far, if you can believe going on something like 160 interviews, if you've been with me for a while, you know that in the beginning I thought I'd find maybe 5 and then run out. But we have upped the recording schedule. I am doing so many more than I used to, and we're still at something like a 6-month wait list. So there is no shortage of recovery information out there. And as I'm doing this, I felt that I needed to do more than just do recovery interviews because information overload is a massive obstacle for everyone when it comes to recovery. It's just too much to sift through. There's over 400 videos on this channel. It's a lot. So I felt strongly, and I just knew that I had the responsibility to put out something more concise for people. So I created a course based on the dominant theme from recovery that came from all of those videos, which is brain training. And the course is Brain Training 101 for ME/CFS and Long COVID recovery. And when I created it, I really truly felt, I hoped that, people would take it and that it would be helpful and that it would have a positive impact on the world. But I really did it thinking, this is my ethical responsibility. I put this out, at least it's out there, and it's there for people if they need it. And if nobody takes it, so be it. But I also feel it's my responsibility to promote it if it has the potential to help people. There are lots of courses out there on brain training, and a lot of them cover similar things, but what I felt was missing was something that was just a self-study, do at your own pace, just short, easily digestible videos that you could just watch whenever you want, get the tools, get the information, and implement it yourself. And people have told me that it's all about the messenger too. So if you watch this channel, if my story and my approach and me just resonates for you, and I generally just don't annoy you, then this might be a good fit for you. So this video is a Q&A, some questions that have come up from people who have taken the course. And even if you haven't taken the course and you have no desire to take the course, this video is still going to give you a lot of information because it's for anyone. It's just answering questions about brain training and helping to understand the process better. Some of the common questions that people come up with. And it's been really interesting to me to see the variety of people who have taken the course. We have people, who are almost recovered all the way to bedbound, and people are seeing a lot of improvements already, even though the course only really just recently launched. So it's really exciting. But there are questions and there are things that people are struggling with and things that like, oh, I don't totally get this, or I'm resistant to that. So that's what we're going to dive into here. So me and my team have compiled a lot of the questions that came in. We're not going to hit all of them in this video, but we're trying to get most of them, and we will hopefully address the rest of them in future videos. And this is a good opportunity for me to put Jeffrey, my husband, to work because why not? So I'm going to get him to read the questions. Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure.
I don't think it's his pleasure, but he's too polite to say no. So he's going to show us his best Oscar-worthy performances while he shares the list of questions that people have put out about the brain training process, and I will do my best to. So, all right, let's do it. What's the first question?
First question comes from Debbie. I'm struggling with the evidence list. I have written it, but I have thought for a while now that it's adrenaline, stress, cortisol that keeps me going. I can do things, but I pay for it. Crash and burn.
Okay, so first off, Debbie, my heart goes out to you. I think everyone who's been through this can relate to that. I remember my mom saying, who also had CFS for most of her adult life, that every good day she had, she was going to have to pay for it. Like there was always a punishment waiting for good times that she had. So it's a really horrible thing to go through. And it's an excellent question because it is something that we all face. And actually, this question really gets at the heart of what the brain training course is all about. Because we understandably think about, okay, so I did the activity and okay, let's back it up a bit. If you're watching and you haven't done the course, what is an evidence list? An evidence list is part of the brain retraining process that we do in this course, where you start to create a list of the things that you're able to do on your good days. So, like, wow, I was able to go for a 5-minute walk or a 20-minute walk or whatever that looks like for you. I was able to have a Zoom call with my friend. I was able to go grocery shopping. I was able to sit up for 2 minutes. Like, it looks different for everybody, but you start writing down what you can do on your good days. Like, I'm physically capable of doing this. Like, I saw myself do that walk, so physically I'm able to do it. And the whole piece of brain retraining is, the start of it is, for at least for the people that this is the case and this is what's happening for them, is that your body is fine and there is no structural damage. So if you can climb a flight of stairs on your good days, you're physically capable of climbing it every day. Like, if you have a broken bone, like if you have a broken leg, it's broken every day. You don't wake up one day and you're like, oh, my leg's fine today, let's go for a walk. And the next day you're like, oh, my leg's broken again. And it's really hard to disassociate the symptoms from your body. So the evidence list is all about creating that faith and belief and that trust and knowledge that your body is okay, and disassociating that symptom flare or that crash from the activity that you did. So that's the heart of what all of this is, because if your symptoms fluctuate, if they're inconsistent, if they move around your body, if they're unpredictable, it's not because something's broken in your body. It's because of that whole threat assessment system and your brain and your autonomic nervous system dispatching symptoms in your body in response to something that it thinks is a threat. So the evidence list is the things that you can do on your good days, even if you do have a symptom flare after. But an important thing to remember when you're doing this is that brain retraining takes time. So don't try and go out and do something way outside of what your baseline is. Just start really small. And then you should have small symptom flares, and that's okay. And just find a place of acceptance that, okay, this is some pushback. My body's trying to keep me safe, but my body is actually fine. And this is really different than what most of us think about. Like, when I say that, what do you think? Like, we can feel a pain in our body, but there's actually no problem there. Like, it's just a false alarm. Like, our body's just ringing alarm bells that aren't necessary. Did you grow up believing that or hearing that?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of accidents that people have where they lose a limb, and for the rest of their lives, their brains are convinced that something's there, the phantom limbs.
Yes.
And I have a couple friends from the military that lost a limb and still believe that the limb is there. So the brain is stronger than we believe.
That is the perfect example. It's still assessing some sort of threat. It's dispatching that symptom, but clearly there's no structural damage in that part of the arm because the arm is no longer there. So I know it's tough. And you don't have to believe every day that you're doing this. Like, every time you have a symptom flare, or every time no one goes through this process thinking every minute of every day, like, oh, I'm fine, everything's okay, I don't have to worry about this. It's just kind of slowly move towards that place of disconnecting the symptoms that you're feeling with meaning that there's an actual problem in your body. And I want to give a shout out to, oh my goodness, Nola. She is amazing. I told you about her, but I tell you about a lot of people. Nola, we love you. Not only are you such an incredible human and so resilient in all of this, and you hold on to such positivity, but she shared with us her evidence list. She has a whiteboard that she made, Hansla, my lovely editor, hopefully can put this up for us, of all the things as she goes through the course that she's been able to slowly do and show her that her body's okay. And it's like she's going 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the rebounder. And I think we all know how much the seconds count when you've been struggling.
Yeah.
Not just 2 minutes.
Yeah.
20 seconds.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great work.
Tummy exercises, 15-second plank, 20-minute walk. So really amazing, Nola. And also shout out to Patricia, who's in the course, Patricia, if you're watching, I know you said that, like, I don't have even the energy to start an evidence list. But what she did is just put a Post-it note on her wall that said evidence list. So just to start thinking about it. So for you watching right now, I invite you to just pause the video and make yourself a note somewhere that says evidence list, and get yourself to start thinking about, what is your body actually capable of doing on your good days? And let that build your confidence and your trust and your belief in your body's ability to function okay. And then From there, maybe you can start an actual evidence list, but even just thinking about it is a really good step. Okay, next question.
All right, next question comes from Marin. Marin says, I loved your question. Is this symptom or thought a reasonable response for the circumstance? I literally had that experience last week, but again, hadn't put it so concisely into a question like that. What's this all about?
Okay, I love this. Thank you, Marin. So think about it this way. If you've just run a marathon and then you get home and you hit the couch and you're like, I'm exhausted. I want to take a nap. I maybe want to do nothing for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's me.
Is that like a reasonable response and thoughts to what you just did?
100%.
It feels normal.
Yeah.
If you just took the garbage out and then you come back and you're like, wow, I feel like I need a 3-hour nap. I think I need to lay on the couch for the rest of the day and do nothing. Does that feel like a reasonable response to the activity that you just did?
If I'm fully healthy, then no, that would not be reasonable.
So this is another way to help you to assess what's happening. Because for sure there are people who are sick and unwell and there are structural problems in their body. There are things they need to address. They have like, I don't know, heavy metals, mold exposure. They have broken things in their body. Like there's things that they need to do. But what we're talking about with brain training is these are cases where there is no structural problem. And how to figure out if you're in this group is thinking like, does the punishment fit the crime? So if emptying the dishwasher lays you out, and you're like, I'm so tired, I'm so wiped out, like, is this a reasonable response to what I just did? And if the answer is no, then there's a strong indication that this is a functional illness or it's neurological in nature and it has to do with your autonomic nervous system. So it's just a good question to ask yourself all the time. And for most of us with ME/CFS and long haul COVID, we do really small things. And we were used to be fit, capable people, many people athletes, working multiple jobs, going to school, and all of a sudden a flight of stairs lays them out. Like, how did you go from 1 week being able to do that to the next week to that? So it's a way to reassure yourself in the moment, like, okay, I'm having the symptom flare, but it actually doesn't mean that my body is broken. So let's just try and accept it, try and be at peace with it, know it's a part of the process, and that there's just some retraining that has to happen.
Well said.
I paid him to say that. And I know it takes a while to get there, and this is a tough pill to swallow because most of us don't think this way. Like when you feel really sick, you're like, something's really wrong. Like so many people I interview tell me, so many people that they thought they were dying. Like they were so sick, they were sure that this was the end for them because the suffering was real and it's really intense. So it's a big mindset shift to get to a place where you're like, I really actually am okay. So a part of the brain training process is actually just that deprogramming and that trusting and believing the process, which is a part of what's in the course. So if you're struggling with this, I invite you to go back and rewatch. There's 2 lessons. Lesson 5, why suffering is necessary and reversible, and lesson 6, why your brain is making you sick. Because really just understanding it helps you to be at peace with it. Okay, who's next?
All right, Greg, you're up next. Greg's question, I am seeing a little increase in my evidence list, which is encouraging. I'm working really hard on indifference and staying neutral about the symptoms. How do you do that?
Greg, if you're watching, let us know. Did he do a good Greg? Like, was that like an Oscar performance where you're like, wow, that's me talking right now. I don't even know what's happening.
Hopefully I nailed your answer.
So one of the best examples I've heard about how to be at peace with feeling worse, because that's a big thing, like that's a big ask. Like you climb a flight of stairs and then you have to take a 2-hour nap and you're like, I'm going to not worry about this. It's fine. Like it's normal to kind of panic and just be stressed with it. And it was with a guy named Miguel who I interviewed on the channel, and he compared it to going to the gym. And he said, when you go to the gym and you work out, you're sore, sometimes for a couple days, sometimes so sore that it's really hard to move and like bend down and pick things up, but you're not freaking out. You're not like, oh my God, my body's broken. Yeah. You're like, this is just a part of the process. This is how I get stronger. So I think it's a really good thing to remember that just this is going to happen. And it's weird because when I was recovering, I don't know if you remember this, but we were in Jakarta at the time, but I slowly started increasing my activity. And I
do remember.
Every time, like I started with like 1 minute, the next week I did 2 minutes.
Yeah.
and it would make me feel worse. And I didn't understand what was happening. I have a better understanding of it now, and I could explain it. But then I had no idea. But somehow I'd stumbled upon this where I'm like, I have to feel worse to get better. So I just tried to stay in that small window of just like feeling a little bit worse, like not so much to lay myself out, but just pushing myself. And I did a video 3 years ago, and I think it's really cringeworthy. I think I'm sitting outside and there's bad sound, but it was essentially, I'm like, the hard truth. I'm like, you have to feel worse to get better, which is kind of like the working out thing. Like you have to feel a lot of pain to get stronger. So it's just a good way to know. It's tough. It is tough to explain, but just that symptom flares and feeling a little bit worse for everyone I've talked to are part of the process. And as much as you can remind yourself of that and just not panic about them and just not give it much attention, just like you would from a workout recovery, not just like, oh, my biceps are hurting. Like you just really just go on with your day. They're hurting. It's fine. Let's move on.
I think I maybe remember that video. Were you wearing a white shirt and there was a person that claimed to be an alien from another planet trying to interject into your video?
Please, Hansel, can you find that footage?
Yeah.
Holy shit, I'm just wrapping up space-time.
Sorry?
Space-time. Just
Oh.
wrapping it up. Tell the followers.
Oh, okay.
Space-time
Hey.
continuum was falling apart. Michael Thorne's here. I'm a time traveler. I disappeared, but I fucking came crawling on my hands and knees through the space-time continuum. I fixed it. We're good. We're in the pocket. Everything's fine. The snakes are happy. It's okay, right?
Right on.
We are living in a very nice apartment, but it was adjacent to not such a thriving area. And every time I do videos outside, like someone jumped in and told me she was an alien. And
Yeah, COVID in San Francisco kind of.
yeah. Another video, a guy, while I was recording, just dropped a big chunk of weed in my lap. It's legal here, but still alarming. And I'm like, what are you doing? Anyways, yeah, that was
There's some fun people out there.
Yeah, that was the video. Gotta feel worse to get better. If you're looking for, if my rambling answer didn't help you, I interviewed Dan Buglio on the channel. If you don't know him, he's amazing and he has a really good grasp of what all of this is. I'll link it up, and he's just all about like calming yourself and self-compassion, and he really gets it, and like talking to yourself like you're like a scared little puppy, which we definitely get because less than 1 week ago, we got a puppy, a friend for our dog, Blue. And first off, isn't she cute? So cute. Oh my goodness. But I talk to her the same way that we need to talk to ourselves when we're working on our recovery, because she gets scared of all sorts of things. Like if you put a pillow in a new place, she freaks out.
Yeah, she does.
She saw a new pair of shoes today in the hallway that she hadn't seen before, and she was terrified. So I just like, hey, little girl, it's okay. Everything's okay. Oh, yes, so nice. I just tell her sweet things. I give her some cuddles. And it may seem silly, but we don't give ourselves that same kind of compassion. So if you can channel your inner puppy and talk to yourself that way and just give yourself that same love and compassion. Oh, she's eating my earrings. Don't eat your own earrings, but not so different. Okay, next question.
All right, next question comes from Becky. Is there some reason why I feel better when I go somewhere, i.e. my children's homes or my sister's house, etc.?
Okay, I love this question. Excellent question. So many people ask this, and Irina, who's on my team, who helps me get ready for these videos and these interviews, her response, I don't think she meant me to share it, but she's like, she says, if some places make you happy, go there more often, girl. And don't worry about the reason why. Being happy is a great antidote to fear and freeze and flight. And also, Becky, you are the reason I wore the shirt today. I don't know if you can see all of it, but just do more of what makes you happy. But it is actually something that we do talk about in the course, is that not all activity and not all environments are created equal. Like when I was recovering from ME/CFS, I was really confused by this, really confused, because when I started getting better, after about 2 years, I saw some improvement, and I could go like visit my friend Andrea, I remember, and we could hang out for 3-4 hours and have coffee, and I could come home and I'd maybe be a bit tired, but I'd generally be okay. And so I thought, okay, I was getting a lot of pressure to go back to work because I was on a disability leave and I was at a stressful social work job in a busy hospital. And they put me on 2 4-hour shifts a week seem very doable. I'm like, okay, I can hang out with my friend and have coffee for 4 hours. I can do a 4-hour shift. And those 4-hour shifts leveled me. So not everything is created equal, and the level of stress around an activity makes it way more draining. You know, the level of joy that you get from it makes it way more energizing. So as much as we can, it's helpful to minimize those energy vampires in those training situations. Colin Robinson. What was the name of the show? A show we watched about vampires, and one of them, his superpower was just draining your energy by talking too much. And I think we all have those people in our lives.
And he was stronger than real vampires.
Yeah, which says a lot.
Energy vampire.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you're never going to have a stress-free, super zen life and just everything's fine. But as much as you can, as you're slowly incorporating more activity into your life, what is she eating my necklace? As much as you can to spend time in places and with people and doing things that make you happy, is really going to be a good thing. All right, what's next?
Okay, so the next 2 questions I'm going to read have a similar nuanced vein about them. Nikki. First question, Nikki. I'm pretty much recovered and I'm looking for some tips on how to keep that. I'm quite slow at the course as there's quite a bit of resistance going on. And then there's Diana. I haven't dipped my toe fully into your course. I wanted to make absolutely sure I am really clued up fully on all the aspects you cover so that I am best equipped to engage meaningfully with it.
Okay. Very good questions, and a very good Nikki and Diana, I think.
They sound almost the same.
In real life, I'm sure that's the case.
Sorry, Diana.
Again, really over the last about 4 or 5 years, I've talked to probably literally thousands of people between emails and interviews and comments, and what you're saying is what I hear from so many people, and it's understandable. Because when you embark on something like this, what we're asking you to do is completely change the way you think about health and healing and about how your body works. And we're also asking you to have hope again. I suspect this isn't the first thing you've tried to recover. I suspect there have been a lot of things out there that sounded promising and you did them and they got you nowhere. And that is setting yourself up for potentially more disappointment. And that is scary. And it's also asking you to be vulnerable and to trust somebody. So you go on this and you're like, am I ready for this? Like, can I really go through this again? And also, it kind of reminds me of what a lot of you tell me when I talk to you, is that a lot of us have kind of perfectionist tendencies. So you're like, okay, I'm going to embark on this course or this new program, this new way of doing things. And this is a lot of pressure on myself because I have changes I have to make. I have to get everything perfect. There's, all these opportunities for me to feel like I'm failing or falling short. So it's understandable to feel all of this. And I think it comes down to 2 things. I think it's hope and self-compassion. So hope, even if you don't have it within yourself, because maybe you've been let down too many times, you can get it through kind of borrowing it from other people. And what people tell me, that's really the power of the recovery stories on this channel. So watch the recovery stories, listen to them, see how it helped them, and kind of borrow that resilience and that hope and that strength from them on the days when you don't have it. And then the perfectionist aspect, eating the earring again. Something else that I'm sure you've heard a lot in the interviews is just the importance of self-compassion. So you're going to go through this and it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to get it all right. You're going to have days where you don't do the practice. You're going to have days where you lose hope in it or belief in it. You're going to have days where you just like, I give up on everything, and that's okay. And you can be struggling and still recovering, and you can be doing things not perfectly and still recovering. So kind of just maybe lighten up on yourself. And biggest obstacle for any of these things, whether it's health or anything else, is just getting started. So I would invite you just to watch one video. Most of them are 5 minutes or less. It's not a big commitment. Like, just getting started can be the scariest thing. And then set yourself a schedule. Like maybe once a day or once a week I watch a video, and just take it slowly and, do what feels like a good fit for you. And if you need to kind of borrow some help from somebody, I'm going to link on the screen an interview I did with an amazing woman named Nikki. Really, really great one. You can bookmark it and just watch it on those days when you're really struggling. Okay, we are getting through most of them. What's next?
Okay. Martina has a question. Do you have any tips on how I could calm my little caveman's head when he's tired? So it makes me smile because I call mine lizard brain. So is that the same?
It's similar.
Okay.
But you ask a good question, because if people haven't taken the course, the Caveman is a nickname I've given to the part of your brain that does threat assessment. So I picture him up there. He's got like a loincloth, he's got a club, and he's just like scanning your environment and he's looking for threats. And then sometimes he's like, oh my God, we're under it. In my mind, he's French. Yeah. I've named him Pierre. He's like, what's going? I can't do a French accent. He's like, what's going on? What is happening? That's really terrible. The French people right now have just stopped watching the video. They're like, I'm unsubscribing. You are done. But he's just a part of your brain that's looking around and panicking and then, dispatching these symptoms in your body. And Arena from my team, again, I love her. She said that she's like, I don't know. I just feed my caveman a bunch of sugar and then he passes out from a food coma, I think she said. She's like, I hope you have a better answer.
That's funny.
So normally we think about Pierre having a fit, like he's like stomping his hands and feet and he's waving his club and he's like, danger, 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 danger. And what we do is like, we calm him down. We're like, Pierre, it's okay. It's okay. Look around. Look around. Everything's okay. And he kind of like give him a hug and he's like, oh, maybe everything is okay. I have my bad French accent again. And we just like soothe him and eventually like, you look tired. Like you've been on guard for a long time. Maybe you want to like lay under this tree and take a nap. Like everything's fine. There's no danger. There's no risk. It's like, maybe I will take a nap. And you watch him just kind of like, this little guy in your brain just kind of fall asleep and be at ease. So I think if you're a caveman, Pierre, or whatever you've named him, maybe if he isn't having that panic attack over a threat, but he's just tired, you just skipped to the part where you're like, you look really worn out. How about you take that nap right now? And the important thing is emphasizing that there is no threat. Because you're really just talking to your brain, to your autonomic nervous system, to your limbic system and saying, everything's okay. Everything's okay. So your caveman can take a nap and you can even just watch him sleep. And you don't even have to take the course to learn about this. I did a video about this on the channel. I'll link it up here that explains all about the brain training strategy that you can do. It's meant for when you're having a symptom flare. So you feel something coming up and it's a way to walk through this and calm down your system and hopefully decrease or even eliminate those symptoms. So linked on the screen if you want to check it out.
Okay, next question is from Greta. I have a friend who has been bedbound for 8 years. My heart is breaking for her and I just really want to do something to help. Can I buy a course for her so we could both start it together?
Oh my goodness, Greta, that is so incredibly thoughtful of you. Of course you can. And many of the people I've talked to have actually found this to be a really successful recovery strategy. It's like having an accountability buddy. Like there's a couple of interviews that I've done on the channel of people who have done just this, and I will link them for you to check out. There are two amazing women named Alexandra and Mona who did this. They met. I have a Facebook group for recovery and people say they really like this group because it's optimistic and recovery focused. I don't know if you probably know nothing about this, but most of the stuff online is really negative and many of the groups don't even allow you to talk about recovery. They kick you out and it's just not a good thing. And they're just like venting like a competition of who has it worse.
Oh, wow.
So in my group, I'll link in the video description, it's not like that. But Mona and Alexandra met there and they didn't even know each other, but they became each other's accountability buddies and they started a text group and they would text each other every day and help each other through really hard times. I'll link their video as well. It is so moving the way they were there for each other. And then they both ended up coming to San Francisco and I met up with them and it was a really tearful, emotional reunion, but now they are both recovered and doing great. And I also interviewed a couple of guys, I believe they call themselves the Healing Bros, but they did something similar and like we're in a really bad place. So I think it's a really powerful thing to pair up with somebody else and do this together.
Okay, here we go. Next question, more of a comment from Judy is, I'm grateful for you checking in, and that alone lifts my spirits to know someone you care.
Yeah, so it is a self-study course. So you do it on your own at your own pace. But I, of course, do check in with people all of the time, just to see how you're doing and get your feedback. And it kind of ties into the last one. I think it would be a really good idea to check into the Facebook group and find someone that you can have that partnership with, because it is much easier to do this with somebody else who knows what you're going through. So I'll link that in the video description and just put a post up saying, hey, I'm doing the course. Anybody else? I'd love to have a partner, accountability buddy. Like, let's do this together. I wish I would have had that. I can't even imagine when I was recovering if I had had like another human on the planet that knew what I was going through. I didn't have anybody.
Yeah, you did it alone.
All the people online seem to just be negative and like life is over and doom and gloom. It's hard not having any, like, just what it would have meant to have another person that just understood what I was going through. It's a really amazing thing.
Okay. Next question comes in from Devin. Is it possible to have a Facebook group just for people taking the course? I'd love to be part of a community that only talks about recovery through mind-body practices and positivity. This is what has helped me most about your program.
Okay. Hey, Devin. If it's the Devin I think it is, I almost feel like we're friends by now because we've chatted quite a bit. So this is a really good question, and that's absolutely possible. Of course, we can start another Facebook group. It just depends on, you need people to be there and show up and interact. So what I will do, Devin, is put out a poll to everyone who's in the course and see if enough people think that this would be beneficial. And if we have enough people that think this is a good idea, I will absolutely start one. And to my team who's watching right now and stressing, like, we don't have time for this, I'm like, I will manage it myself. I will be there. But yes, if you guys think this is helpful, we'll absolutely do it. And just know that we're also looking at, score me puppy, everything's okay. Everything's okay. We're also looking at having monthly Zoom calls to check in with you guys. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of that. But yes, we'll follow up on that for sure. Oh, so I just want to give it up for you. Can we just throw like a heart in the comments for Jeffrey? I don't think he loves doing this, so
It's my pleasure.
Thank him if you enjoyed having him here at all. All right, okay, we are back. Battery died for our last question, which is?
This question comes in from Janice. Out of interest, roughly how many of us are doing the program? Can you tell?
Yeah, of course. We only just recently launched it, but we have more, like 50 plus people in it so far, which is really impressive to see, because it's a lot of you brave souls that this is an unknown program and you're there. But the response has been really, really good, and the feedback's been incredible. So it's so wonderful to have you there. I really appreciate every single one of you who has joined this course, and I am so rooting for all of you. Oh my goodness, you have no idea. I have become terrible at responding to comments in general because I literally get thousands now between emails and DMs and comments and Facebook messages. I can't keep up. But the people in the course, I check multiple times a week, and I'm always here for you, and I will always reply, and definitely, just always here for you. And if you're not already a part of the course, I invite you to check it out, and I'd love to see you there. Let us know what you thought about this. Anything surprising, anything that you would add. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Jeffrey, amazing co-host, and Chloe, and Blue, our other dog, who I can hear is barking outside, like, why aren't I included?
If you like my performance, give me a thumbs up or give her a heart.
All right, sending massive hugs to you guys. I know this can be a nightmarish journey. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope to see you join the course.